Chapter 1: Rock Gods. In a time when music wasn't merely an auditory experience, but a visual spectacle, emanating from the small screens perched atop dressers, desks, or even makeshift entertainment centers constructed from a board of wood resting on a stack of bricks, the youth of the day decked themselves in the attire and hairstyles of the rock deities who reigned over the airwaves of MTV. 485 miles from the hottest rock clubs of Los Angeles like the Troubadour, the Roxy, and the Whiskey A Go Go, Adam stood in the center of his room, the inner sanctuary of an 18-year-old high school graduate surrounded by posters of his favorite bands. Those images of the spandex-clad, long-haired, eyeliner-wearing hairbands were intermixed with the hottest supermodels on the planet. Christie, Brinkley, and Cindy Crawford ranked high, holding prominent positions alongside Mötley, Crüe, Rat, and Van Halen. Adam adjusted the leather strap of his glossy black Fender Stratocaster that contrasted beautifully with its white inlaid pickguard. He moved his long, wavy black hair to dislodge it from its position trapped under the strap against his shoulder. He checked himself out in the mirrored closet door. Cool. Jessica looked up at him from her seat on the queen-sized waterbed. They had been dating for almost a year now, and it had been mostly great. He had just graduated from high school, while she had one more year to go. He was short, but still a good 4 inches taller than her, handsome and mildly popular. He was the kind of guy whose great qualities you'd notice once you got to know him, but he wouldn't stand out at a party, an acquired taste. The best part about that was that she didn't have to worry about a bunch of skanks hitting on him when she wasn't around. Everything had been going great until he graduated. Now, he was just annoying her daily. He planned on leaving for Northern Arizona University at the end of summer, assuming that she'd just wait around for him. More irritating was that he was more worried about being far away from his friends and bandmates than leaving her behind. She glanced at the project he had promised to help her with but had done exactly squat for. Beside her were a photo album and several stacks of photos. She narrowed her eyes, heavily lined with black liner and blue shadow, as she looked up at her self-absorbed boyfriend. "Jess, check this out," he said. Adam held the guitar in front of him and counted to 3, then sent it flipping all the way around his body to arrive back at the playing position. He double-lifted his brows proudly at her and waited for her approval of his theatric performance. How cool would that look on stage? So cool. How are you going to do that when it's plugged in? She asked with a generous helping of sarcasm. Adam leaned down and picked up the guitar cord and plugged it into the Strat. He looked down at the length of the long cord attached to a small amplifier sitting on a shelf, crowded with stacks of cassette tapes. He then pulled a bit of the cord toward him to create some slack, then sailed his guitar around his back again. Crash. The amp was yanked off the shelf, knocking dozens of cassettes to the floor along with it. Shit. Oh my God. I don't know how someone so smart can be such an idiot. You were going to help me with this photo album from prom. Can you quit playing with your stupid guitar? Adam started to pick up the mess he had just made. "Sorry, but me and the boys are going to have band practice. I just need to work on some new tricks." "You could practice playing. That would be a good trick." "I was practicing before you got here." "Fine. Can you help me choose what else to put in our prom album?" Jessica continued to organize the photos arranged on the bed. Adam set the guitar down and picked up some of the photos. He started to sort through the collection of prom pictures. He thumbed through the shots of dancing, images of the two of them dressed up in a tuxedo and gown. Then he found a photo of himself and 3 other boys with long hair standing together with cigarettes hanging from their lips. "You've got to have a page of me and the boys. This one is so cool," Adam said, handing her the photo. "I don't want a whole page of just you and your stupid friends in my album." Okay, I get it." Adam, a little hurt, wandered over to his desk and started looking through cassette tapes that were stored in a rack. He was not so much interested in the music as just wanting to avoid going through the prom memories with Jessica. "Maybe you should make an album to take with you to college. That way when you're missing me, you can look through it," Jessica said hopefully. "Oh, it's cool. I have a shoebox with all my photos." He grabbed a box from under his desk and brought it over to the bed. He looked over the spread and spotted a separate stack on its own. Adam opened the box, and then he unceremoniously plopped the photos inside. "These are the doubles, right?" Jessica stared daggers at him while he slipped the box back under the desk. Gods! Just shove our whole relationship into a shoebox under your desk, why don't you? She slammed her album closed and put the photos away in her purse in a huff. Adam hurried over to her and put his arms around her. When I'm missing you up in the cold north of Flagstaff, I'll just call you, and I don't need a picture to remind me of how hot you are. I can just close my eyes and I see your beautiful face, your long blonde hair. Adam held her chin up to look into her hurt eyes, those magical eyes. Besides, I'll be back for the holidays and summers. He leaned in and started to kiss her with his eyes beginning to close, but saw that Jessica was not into the moment. Ahem! The two teens were startled by a woman clearing her throat loudly in the doorway. They turned to see Adam's mom, Judy, standing in the doorway dressed in a pantsuit with sassy, styled, short, dyed blonde hair. Her eyes looked Jessica up and down, oozing judgment on her rocker t-shirt with the blonde lead singer of the band Poison displayed on it. Then her eyes moved on to her choice of skin-tight jeans that laced up the front like a sneaker instead of relying on a good old-fashioned zipper. Jessica, I didn't know you were over. You look so fashionable today. You're so lucky that you have such a cute figure and can get away with wearing, well, jeans without zippers are interesting. She turned to her son. I'm taking your sister to the mall for some new shoes. We'll be gone for about an hour. Are you two eating dinner with us? No, Mom. I'm working tonight. Judy looked at Adam, then at Jessica, who was still sitting on the bed, then back to Adam again. A worried thought seemed to go through her mind. Well, maybe you should be starting to get ready. I've got like almost 2 hours or so, said Adam dismissively. Judy and Jessica were just about staring each other down now, eye daggers flashing between them. Jessica put her bare feet onto the bed and lay down, seductively propped up on her elbow. Her tanned midriff was now showing taut, youthful skin underneath the small t-shirt. There was a hint of a smile that emerged on her face as she saw fear creep into Judy's eyes as they widened. We'll go to the store later. I've got some laundry to finish. She stood in the doorway uncomfortably, then turned to go. Oh, Mom. Can you toss this stuff in too? Adam handed her a small pile of clothes that was stuffed behind his door. His mom left with her arms full, and Jessica smiled with a shake of her head. Adam grabbed his guitar again and continued to work on his poses in the mirror. Are you guys ever going to play a gig? Definitely, but we're not totally ready yet. We're still working on our sound. He turned to look over his shoulder at his backside. You've been finding your sound for like 3 years now. I wish the boys were going to NAU with me this fall. Jessica was watching him as he continued to change his pose. She noticed the sound of stomping feet approaching the doorway and cringed inwardly, thinking his mom was marching her way back. Adam's sister Mandy showed up in a cloud of dark curly hair and early teen angst. She was short like Adam, but with an enormous presence and attitude unusual for someone who had only just finished their freshman year. Thanks a lot, Adam. What? Mom doesn't want to leave the two of you alone in the house, so I can't go to the mall. Why? Why? Mandy shot Jessica a look. Because you guys will start to do the wild thing as soon as we leave. Oh my God, exclaimed Jessica. No, we won't. We were just putting photos in an album. Whatever. Now I'm stuck here until you leave, she said with a finger pointed at Jessica. Or you go to work, she voiced as she turned back at Adam. Fine, I'm gonna go. Jessica slipped on her shoes and gathered up her stuff to leave. No, Jess, wait, don't go. Jessica brushed past Mandy and out the bedroom door with Adam following her. Adam started to plead with her as she rounded the hallway toward the front door. Come on, Jess. Jessica stopped at the door and spun around to face Adam. I told you your mom doesn't like me, she started at him in a whispered shout. It's obvious now that she thinks I'm some sort of slut. No, you're being too sensitive. I'm sure she likes you. She just doesn't want to be a grandma is all. What about that crack about my outfit? Adam rolled his eyes. They wore like poodle skirts or some shit when she was our age. She just doesn't understand your fashion sense. Mandy and Judy were in the living room, standing at the corner to the hallway, listening to Adam and Jessica's conversation by the front door. They quietly whispered to each other. Fashion sense? Try lack thereof, quipped Mandy. Shh, Judy said. Jessica stood with her hand on her hips as Adam tried his best to smooth things over. She's always harping on what I wear, too. Moms are just old-fashioned and out of touch. Well, she's not my mom. Thank God for that, said Judy quietly to Mandy as they continued eavesdropping. Shh, shushed Mandy. Don't be mad, Adam said with a head tilt, trying his best to be endearing. Jessica opened the front door and walked out. Adam stood holding the edge of the open door, watching her walk down the steps toward her Volkswagen Rabbit parked on the street. I'm going home, she said without so much as a look back. I'll call you later? Jessica didn't answer, and Adam watched her get in her car and drive away. He closed the door and moped back down the hallway to find his mom and sister standing in the living room, trying their best to look like they were busy doing something besides eavesdropping. Thanks a lot, Mom. She seems pretty pissed, said Mandy. You don't need to get some tramp pregnant before you go to college, Adam. I'm just trying to save you a lifetime of heartache and bad decisions. He stood there with his hands on his head, a look of annoyance on his face. We were just putting together a photo album. Okay, Mom? I saw what you were doing, and we've had this conversation 1,000,000 times. I'm not ready to be a grandma. God, Mom, I'm not going to make you a grandma. He started to huff down the hallway toward his room. I've got to get ready for work, and maybe I don't even want to go to college. Judy let out a loud sigh and sat down in a chair with contained fury. She picked up a magazine from the table next to her and aggressively started to flip through its contents. Mandy just stared at her, then looked down the hallway, then back at her mom, who was ignoring her as she hovered in front, waiting on her. Well, do I get to go to the mall or not? Mandy exclaimed while Judy pretended to be focused on the magazine.
Sunlight so bright, Bellevue Boys crash through the night. Dreams so big, talent just light. Rock and roll lullabies unite. Adam strumming chords that fight. Mark's bass grooving out of sight. Freddie on drums pounding tight. Johnny's vocals reach new heights. Bellevue Boys dreaming loud, living wild through the crowd. In the spotlight, feel so proud. Closer now, standing tall unbowed. Rehearsing hard nights, endless grind. Notes off key, dreams in mind. Struggling, keeping tempo fine. In their hearts, no falling behind. Broken strings, voices crack. Never gonna turn back on this wild rock and roll track. Hearts attack, ignite their pack. Bellevue Boys, dreaming loud, living wild through the crowd. In the spotlight, feel so proud. Closer now, standing tall unbowed. Rehearsing hard nights, endless grind. Notes off key, dreams in mind. In the spotlight, feel so proud. Closer now, standing tall unknown. Bellevue Boys, dreaming loud, living wild through the crowd. In the